They might not even notice.
This is a dope piece you have right here. I think that's the first official piece of RRR merch I've ever seen.
RR art. Yeah.
RR art. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Justin.
And I am Jason.
And today we're going to talk about RRR. Let's do our RRR moment.
Yes.
This movie was fucking incredible.
I'm so glad that we went and seen it because
Holy shit.
I knew you needed to see this.
I've heard so many people talk about this movie, and I feel like it slipped kind of under the radar of things because it is a foreign language movie. It's a Tollywood movie, not a Bollywood movie.
Yeah, fuck off with that, huh?
But this was your number one. If you want to go ahead and check our top 10 of the year, you can check that episode. Spoiler alert, this was your number one movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I see why.
It sure was. Dude, there's no way to quantify like what it is. So that's what, there's gonna be a quick video. We just want to talk about it. We just want to recommend it. You know, in certain circles, this movie is everyone has heard about it. It's sort of like what happened with Hamilton, where it's like I just discovered it, and then I just didn't really realize how huge it was. So I'm sure people are like, yeah, it's not a little movie. You're not telling us something we don't know. This came out a year ago, but I think it's a classic. I think it's already timeless.
Did you know what you were getting into, like when you, like how much did you know about it before you saw it the first time?
I knew that it was something, you know, one of those videos that's like, this is the greatest thing you've never heard of. And I'm like, bet, prove yourself.
Yeah.
And it just looked amazing. And when I saw that it was kind of buried in my algorithm on Netflix, I was just like, oh, okay. And it was a Hindi dub. I could talk about this movie for hours.
The minute the movie starts, you lean into me quietly and you go, forget everything you know about movies. I was like, okay.
I feel like
I was ready to give myself to the movie.
The most honorable thing that you can do as a fan of this movie and an evangelist for this movie is like overhype it the same way the movie's going to overhype itself. That's the only way to make it meet the hype. You build it up in this movie. If it disappoints you, you're distracted by something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something going on in your own life. I don't know if you're playing words with friends. I don't know what it is, but figure your shit out because this movie's better than you're going to say it is.
It honestly did live up to, it was as described as you were as you said initially, like every emotion, every action sequence, every like little aspect of the movie is done to like the most extraordinary level that you could possibly put it at.
Extraordinary, and you know, some people use that exact same what would you call it, statement about something that they use for Zack Snyder. But sometimes that can be double-edged. People use that as a criticism and a good thing. And I think with RRR, the way that it's made is so earnest and heartfelt in a way that Snyder's films don't lean. This is giving you, and they are based on, not gods, I don't think, but he is clearly at the end raw, that he's featured. And there's a lot of historical stuff you won't fully understand that you could look into, but
when you compare it to those things like Matt Reeves stuff or Zack Snyder or like the big Marvel stuff, it's every bit as epic, but in place of like laser beams and spaceships and people flying through space and on green screens, it's like tactile. It's like lions and people and tactical things like trees and like using their surrounding, and it's a 100% immersive. Like it felt over the top, but it was like a heightened reality.
That's where the honesty and like the heartfelt and just the sappiness comes into play. Because I think if you picture all those parts that work together so well in this movie, if you look at it like they're each different instruments in a band, where Marvel, they have the humor, they have those quips, they have the green screen, they have the CGI monster, they have the dialogue scenes, the character building, all those different things.
It feels contrived and phony though, in my personal opinion. Sorry to interject.
No, but if they are all different instruments, they do it in this way where it's like, why are you doing a punchline now? Why are you doing a quip now? This is like, Tar made it. You know, this is just a symphony of these things. Like, why do the quips, even though they're technically not as funny as something that like Tom Holland would say, or like it's technically not, but it's so heartfelt and quirky and fun and cute that
it's not like one-liners.
It's
not like one-liner jokey type shit. Sometimes like Marvel you'll have like an epic moment and then they'll throw some stupid joke that like just slashes the sales, and it's like that takes you out of it. This stuff, there's nothing that ever as absurd as everything was, nothing ever took me out of it. I was just all in.
Yeah, this is a vision in every sense of the word. We were talking about how the CGI, could be interpreted as dodgy or something. Like someone.
I don't think so. I didn't think so.
And I think the reason he doesn't think so is because SS Rajamouli, I think that's the director. He leans you in. He understands exactly the visual story he's going to tell because it's such a classic, like ancient story. Everything in it feels biblical. It feels epic.
Why don't you do like a rapid fire? Like if you had to break down the plot of the movie, break it down.
It's about two men, and this came out a year and a half ago. Some of this might be spoilers. I recommend everyone go watch it. But we can if you want to break down, go see it. Whatever. We're going to spoil it because it's a year old, and trust me, we're not going to ruin the experience for you to go see it. It is about two men, both undercover. One is undercover for the British military who are occupying somewhere in India, but he's actually with a freedom fighter group, but he's trying to get inside job thing, to give guns to everybody. Meanwhile, there's Beam, who is undercover as a normal citizen because he's from a tribe where his daughter was kidnapped, or a girl that he's trying to protect was kidnapped from his village and taken to British military. And so he's trying to get her. They don't know they're friends because they're both playing their roles. So they're just best friends. They bond and they love each other.
The movie starts out with
they're both going to betray each other in a historical, epic moment of traitors.
It is a perfect thing where you set up people as best friends who find out they're mortal enemies. The movie starts out with this amazing opening shot where this girl is kidnapped and brought by these white people basically to keep her as a pet.
I hate them.
To you really do hate this, like these British colonists who take the girl and just lock her away in their castle so this rich queen lady can have her paint their hands and use her as just a toy, like a little fun toy.
Yeah, I want it.
Yeah, I want it. It's mine. And there's one guy in the village who is assigned to basically avenge her, and the other guy to stop that from happening is this guy's new best found friend.
Right. Yeah. And they don't know that the other is basically destined to be met with, I won't say if they, if blood will be shed, I won't say that, but they know they're going to hit a crossroads at some point.
I was talking to him about this for the movie. I tried to rack my brain to find or think about an action movie that was on this level. And this movie, I couldn't honestly think of one other than some of the best action movies I've literally ever seen. Mm-hmm. We're talking James Cameron level shit. Terminator
Easily
2
clears James Cameron. I think it clears it. It's in a pure lane. It's really not a matter of this little movie being so good that it's as good as these things.
It's every bit as epic in scale as Avatar.
Yeah.
Being topical, it is. It really blew me away. The action sequences, and these aren't your normal action sequences. These are, every shot of this movie is this incredible, massive wide shot. So from one side of the screen to the other, there is something happening, and there's all this slow motion stuff. He's doing Zack Snyder-ish stuff,
slow-mo speed up.
But to me, it was way more organic and highlighted certain things. It wasn't a gimmick.
It highlights certain things. That's the point. Yeah, that's actually a great fucking point.
Yeah.
Every time they do the slow-mo, it's to show. He's got the hoses with the water. He's got the fire.
Amazing.
The fire and water conflict throughout. That's usually when those moments are happening. Yeah. It's just that thing about the instruments and the different components of a film working together. It's everything. The choreography is the Raid 2. It's John Wick. It's the Raid. It's
felt
filmed,
but you know what?
Super well.
When you watch a John Wick fight sequences or even things in Old Boy, it doesn't feel as mechanical. Where it's you can tell these are choreographed moves.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell these moves are choreographed, but it just seemed more. I don't know. It just felt less phony
it's because everything else is less phony.
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah, that's the thing. These characters are like that when there's no action going on.
Yeah.
So we buy it immediately.
Yeah.
People are swinging motorcycles around and
there's guys who are taking tigers and throwing tigers
using
at
them
people.
as weapons.
Yeah, using them as weapons.
Yeah, throwing them onto deer antlers.
That was
on a deer.
Yeah, that was so fucking badass. And a lot of action sequences will be that kind of shaky cam thing, or you'll see a close up on a face and you can tell from the frame of their face that they're fighting somebody. But this movie expands and goes full frame, so you can see the full body of these people fighting, plus a raging forest fire behind them. That one sequence at the beginning where they basically find each other. They're both trying to rescue this person, and the one person in the crowd crowd. The one guy's in the crowd like saying, "We got to help this girl." And then they lock eyes with each other, do a couple of hand signals from like 100 feet away. And doing that, they figure out an elaborate plan to rescue this person. And it ends up with them under like 20 feet underwater, running towards each other and shit. It was just epic as fuck.
It was epic as fuck. These two lead performers.
Yeah.
The theatricality of everybody, it just goes to this sharp point. There's some comical, the villains are very comical, over the top. A lot of side characters are over the top. And the two leads are also over the top. But the emotional spectrum that they are having to do and the physical spectrum that they're on, they have to dance incredibly well.
Oh, this is also a musical, by the way.
It is, but it's not overwhelming. For 3 hours, there's probably 4 straight up musical
it's
numbers.
Not a full. Yeah, it's not a full-on musical. Actually,
it's theater. There's big songs and huge epic moments with just montages. Like this movie's an experience. It just kind of takes you along. It slowly builds up. It has title cards. It's a whole fucking thing.
Usually the song pops in when there's like an epic like sea change in the movie.
Yes.
Like when somebody figures out that somebody's evil, or they're getting ready to start a big battle, or
like
they're trying
opera.
to escape. Yeah,
Right?
it is.
Isn't that what they do?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's
they
right.
Come out and say, like Death is a singer who like takes the crowd through the movie. Yeah, they have like a narrator that's going through music. Both of the lead actors are like the biggest thing in their respective countries, or maybe the same country. They're both huge. The director is also humongous. And apparently they all have the first letter of their name is R. Mm-hmm. And so they originally, just as a sample draft or whatever, what they were calling it temporarily was RRR, standing for each of their names. And it's so badass that they just kept it.
They just said, fuck it, it's RRR.
But Rise, Roar, Revolt.
Rise, Roar,
and that's
Revolt.
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, whatever.
Yeah,
Over there, it's like a cultural event for this stuff. So it's, Avatar's a really good comparison.
This movie is one of the most epic movies you will ever see. Like, I know there's probably going to be people who don't know shit about this movie and maybe not even have heard of it.
Or have biases. We're not huge Bollywood fans.
I've never seen one of those movies.
Yeah.
But if this movie was well known, and for whatever reason it's not, like, this is on par with the best action that the U.S. has put out, like, in film history. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just true.
Endgame is a good comparison.
Yeah, it's 100% as epic as the biggest Marvel movie.
Yeah, without having to build things up. That's why I keep comparing it to like Ben-Hur and Spartacus.
Yeah.
It has the feel of a classic movie with its storytelling. So like, you go into it with an innocent mind. Like, you just want to be told a story. It's like that. You could say it's simple. This is whatever. But it's also not. It's got elements of like The Departed in it. It's got elements of, again, The Raid and all these other movies. And it's just beautiful. I can't believe how much I love this movie. I've seen it like 6 times. Today was the first time we got to see it in a movie theater. Mm-hmm. We went to the Screenland Armor down here in North Kansas City, Missouri, and it was amazing to see it on a big screen. This is the movie that, I mean, the guy asked before the show, who here, this is the first time, and then commented on like how jealous everyone who's seen it is that they got to see it for the first time in the theater. So.
I mean, there's sequences of people fighting animals, there's car chases, there's gunfights, there's a guy with a bow and arrow facing an army of people with rifles.
In a baton with a literal army of people, thousands of people, and that's in the first 15 minutes.
There's like brutal torture scenes, there is like epic like training montages, like one thing that I noticed, like, I don't know why I thought about this, but I thought of Rocky and Rambo. Mm-hmm. It has like the melodrama of like Rocky and all of like the fight for your family and all the emotional shit, but like as much action and like ridiculous machismo that is combined in like all 3 Rambo movies put into one.
Dude, even the not machismo stuff, even like the just legitimate masculine representation.
Yeah.
Like of Rocky or Rambo and Rambo 1 in First Blood. How that movie's kind of, it's about some shit.
Yeah.
You know, this one is like really about some shit. It's about revolution, and like it has these kind of old school ideas that everyone just kind of, you just want to get behind.
And like the deepest bond between 2 men I've ever seen.
You buy it, don't you? Don't you buy it though?
Yeah.
Their emotion, dude, is so intense in this
Instant
movie.
brothers from the time they meet.
It's a bonding movie. Like, you watch this movie with your bros. Yeah. We're cousins, now we're brothers.
Yeah, we broed up.
Just standing up in your chair, everyone was just can't help it.
People were cheering in the audience. It was a really, really cool experience.
Yeah.
Man. I really It's definitely a movie that I would watch multiple times. It is long.
It flies
and
by,
it just feels epic. This is a movie that's long for like a reason. I'm not like you know, something like Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But there's movies where you can really feel the length, where they're not filling the time with much. Like every hour of the 3 hours in this movie is filled with story that enriches what comes after it. So everything is dependent on something else happening, but it's not like overcomplicated or anything like that. It's just a good, honest story, but takes half the length of the runtime is not just because they're setting up a bunch of plot. It's because all of these like intricate action sequences are like 6 and 7 minutes long
and letting you know things. It takes the time to let you know stuff. Like even stuff that could be a twist later, they just let you know because there's bigger stuff coming. It knows exactly what it's doing. And it's like what Matt Stone and Trey Parker say about screenwriting, where it should be a plot should never be and, it should always be but, and then so. It should be but and so.
Constant conflict and resolution.
They wanted this, but this. So they do that. But this.
That's actually really cool.
That's the way you, not this and this and this. That's how you end up with all these plot threads that you have to force to come in together.
I hate that, yeah.
And RRR does that, where it's just like this, but this. It's the ultimate conflict just from the premise. These two dudes can't end up being bros. It doesn't drag anything out. It's all for your benefit, you know? Just, it's a long movie, but it's not over long. It's the least over long movie I've ever seen.
And I can't stress enough about the fight sequences and like the wide shots. Like every time something epic happens, like there'll be a guy shooting an arrow through a ring of fire, but it looks like a painting. Like there's many shots that look like a Renaissance painting or something. You know, almost like, you know, it kind of frames things epically, like Lars von Trier, where like the big wide shots don't just look like a movie shot. It looks like a constructed painting or something.
Think like Thor Ragnarok, they do a freeze frame at the end of that. In Marvel's defense, whatever. But yeah, you do that thing. Zack Snyder does it, 300 does it. Yeah, where you just create these beautiful canvases with some moving parts. Slow-mo's very effective in shooting things like that.
It's dope as fuck. You have to see it. Anybody who has not seen RRR,
it's on Netflix.
You have to watch it. It's on Netflix right now.
That means you could break it up. If you really feel like you want to quit for a little bit, you could stop, but I can't imagine it, the way that goes into intermission, you being like, oh, that's a great place to stop for tonight.
Yeah, you'd have to keep watching.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad you liked it. I'm really happy I showed you that.
I mean, it's easily in my top 10 action movies of all time.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I mean, there's no way it couldn't be.
Yeah, it's hard to leave out once you see it.
And it's like, it has the surrealism and the weirdness of something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, you know?
That's a good point.
But not quite as out there. It's much, as weird as it is, when you have a guy holding another dude on his shoulders, you know, doing this shit, it somehow still feels grounded in some weird way.
Yeah, because it's...
Magical realism. Is that the term where it's like magical realism or something?
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, it's again, it's just a matter of from second one of this movie, it allows for the silly stuff. Like it introduces you in a way, you don't see the title card for like 45 minutes in this movie.
It was like a 45-minute intro.
So you know, it doesn't mean you go, oh my God. It's like, you should be thankful that we had that much dope shit before the movie starts.
It's dope as fuck. Watch it. High recommend. Check out RRR.
Yeah.
It's dope as shit, guys. And that's our review for RRR, guys.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about Poultrygeist and Tenet.
So our next episode, we're doing a bizarre comparison where we're gonna... I don't even know how you describe the theme is. I guess just polar opposites of filmmaking.
Yeah, since we'll just call it now, because we both are going to do this. We both picked two movies from two different areas of film.
Two different directors.
Two different directors. I went ahead and gave Justin the pleasure of two Nolan films. I do Inception and Tenet.
Yeah.
I said that backwards. Sorry, Tenet.
Tenet as the main feature, really.
Really.
That's the main thing we wanted to do.
And then a side taste of a different movie.
Yeah, so I'm watching Tenet. I forced him to watch Poultrygeist. That was the ultimate battle, was Tenet versus Poultrygeist, like two movies that should not be compared. And then like to get like a little bit more framework for the director's work, I also watched Inception and he watched Toxic Avenger. They're both Lloyd Kaufman movies, both of mine are Christopher Nolan movies. And so that'll be the next episode. You can check our other episodes.
I'm excited to talk about these movies. I have so many thoughts on Poultrygeist.
It's going to be dope.
Yes.
Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Or do whatever.
Bye.
Be someone else.
We got it.
Yes.
You good, dude?
Yes.
You feel good?
Killed it.